let's talk about adding an item to our linked list. So we have public void add item int item, and we have node. We're going to have to add a node, right? So we're going to have to create a node. We're going to call it the add node equals new node, and we're going to store an item. And all this does is create a node. We go to our node. All this does is create a node where the data stored is whatever got sent, and then it points to nothing. So we created a node that points to nothing. Our next step is to say add node dot next. Now we're going to get it to point to whatever head was. And then we're going to say this dot head is now going to be equal to add node. Okay, so let's go over that. I created a node. That's all this was. Then I said whatever this next was, I have the node and I have my data stored in it. And I'm going to make the next, whatever add node points to, was whatever head was. And now I'm going to say this dot head for this linked list is now my add node. So how does that work? Let's look at this. Okay, so I had nothing. And I started with null. Let's say head was null. Head was pointing to this. Okay, and what I did was I created a node. And I said, okay, next now points to whatever head was. Right? So we said next points to this. And then we said head. Head now points to that. That's my third line over here. This dot head equals to whatever this add node is. This was the add node, right? And then this head no longer points to null. Okay, and then if we did it again, let's say we did it again. Pen color, let's call it blue. If we did it again, what would we do? We'd add this, we'd call this add node. This is the add node. It's the add node. And what would we do? The first line says add node dot next equals head. Whoops. What'd I do? Add node dot next equals head. So add node, this is the add node, dot next points to now head. Points to this. And then head, this dot head is equal to the new add node. This is now the new head, and it points to add node. Right? And every time you add it, that's what happens. Okay? So that's how we add an item to our node. Now, what if we wanted to create a toString method? How would we do that? Well, we would say public string toString, and we'd say, well, our string would always start as result equals nothing. And we'd say, we'd create a node, we'd call it the current node, and we'd say it's equal to our head. So let's go back and take a look at that. First, let's erase everything. Erase pen. So what would we say? We'd say our current node is our head. So that's our current node. Current node equals head. So what do we have to do? We want to keep changing. We want to keep going over this node until we get to null. We want to look at this, then we want to look at this, then we want to look at this, and then we want to look at null. Now, how do we traverse this linked list? So first of all, we pointed to it, current node is equal to head. Okay, so now we're here. We're right here. Okay, so what's our next step? So we have to go through it while current node unequals to null. What do we want to do? We want to do something. We want to say result plus equals, because it's nothing and we're gonna build it, plus equals current node dot toString, right? And we're gonna plus a space. And then we're gonna change what the current node refers to. So current node is no longer that. Current node is no longer, we don't want it to be this because we already added our toString, which is this data. Now we want to refer to this one. How do we refer to this one? Well, current node, well, first of all, current node is this. Current node next is this. So current node is equal to whatever the current node was, dot next. And that's basically it. That's how we work with this linked list. Let's check to see if it works. Let's go to our main, and I already built a linked list over here. Linked list LL, new linked list, add item 5, add item 6, add item 92, add item 106. If I run my code, that's perfect. Line 12. Line 12 over here, line 9 and line 5. Line 9, line 5. Let's run this code again. Hopefully I have no errors this time. Of course I have some errors. Oh, because in my main, I called size. I didn't build that yet. What else? Missing return statement in linked list number 13. Linked list number 13. Oh yeah, I forgot to return. It's a string, right? We have to return results. Run this code. Hopefully it'll work this time. And as you can see, when I added 5, well, then 5 was at the front, and 6 gets added in front of it, then 92. If I add something else, dot add item, and I say 33, you're going to see that 33 gets added. What ends up happening is 33 gets assigned a node, and then head starts to point to 33, and then 33, sorry, no. The next of this 33 node points to this, the rest of this linked list. And then the head starts pointing to this 33 right here. And we run our code. And as you can see, 33 is added. Now, I did this right here, system out print line size, just to, what if I wanted to know what the size of the linked list was? Public int size, and I wanted to get the size. Well, size equals 0 to start, and we can say int size equals 0. And we can say, we can run through it as well. We can say node, build a node, call it a current node, equals, start with head. So we're going to look at head. Let's erase this data. Whoops. Escape. Oh, forget it. We're going to start with head, and we're just going to keep saying current node equals head, then current node equals current node.next, which is this, which is equal to current node.next over here. Now, let's do that. So while, until current node is equal to null, and that's when you want to stop. Current node unequal to null. What do you want to do? You want to say, well, let's just go current node equals current node dot next. But before you do that, you say, you increase the size. Size plus equals, or size plus plus. And what do? You return size. If you run it, it'll add all these items. Uh-oh. Did it work? Let's run it again. It'll add all these items, print it, and then the LL size should be 5. And it works. Okay, now as an exercise for yourself, I want you to try to add create a method to, actually before I do that, let me address that whole private thing that I said about the node. See how next over here, private, I want to make it private now. Private int data, private int node next. Now, obviously we have to build methods. So build a method to return data. Build a method to return the node next. Now the reason why I didn't do it is because it gets confusing, because I like to call this method next, which is not even get next. I like to call it next, so it gets confusing when I put brackets, but you can go ahead and modify the whole program if you wish. But as an exercise, what I want you to do is create a method that inserts a node at a specific index of the linked list. You can also create a method to remove a node at a specific index. And I'll provide you with that solution at a later time.